87% of doctors said they want more scientific evidence.
Hello and welcome. It's Scott Moldenhauer from HowToConvinceDocs.com. What are we talking about today? We're talking about selling with clinical studies. Selling physicians with clinical reprints. What's the best way to do it? How do you become the most persuasive you can be using clinical reprints? Our expert today is Jim Price. He is owner of TAP Consulting with over 18 years in the pharmaceutical and healthcare industries. I'm happy to have Jim here to talk today specifically about a very important topic, selling with clinical reprints. Jim, a lot of times we hear you have to sell with clinical evidence. You have to sell with clinical studies. So the beginning question is that true? And if so, why?
There was a study conducted by Accenture in 2003. It said 80% of doctors said that peer-reviewed clinical journal had the most influence on their prescribing habits. 5 years later, Sermo Physician Survey said 87% of doctors surveyed wanted more, significantly more use of clinical studies and evidence-based medicine. The need is going up. Almost 90% of doctors.
So as we come out of the big pharma, feet on the street, reach and frequency, it may be that it's more important than ever now to deliver more of the clinical message versus the glossy brochures.
What it's important to do is to understand not only how to deliver that message in 3 minutes, but to be able to give a 30-second version. If that doctor looks at you and says, look, I've got 30 seconds, and instead of saying, well, use my product because it's faster acting and longer lasting, you can present some compelling clinical evidence, and then many times that doctor, if that study catches their attention, that doctor will say, you know what, I've got 2 or 3 minutes. Why don't you tell me a little more about that?
Hello and welcome. This is Scott Moldenhauer from HowToConvinceDocs.com. Go to HowToConvinceDocs.com for more fresh ideas and strategies. HowToConvinceDocs.com. If I'm presenting a study to a physician, what can I do to ensure that my study, my information comes off as unbiased?
One of the first things you can do is you can stop using the word I and me and we. One of the most common mistakes that I hear is a sales representative says, we conducted a study. Whether they did or not, it may have been a study conducted by the National Institute of Health. Their habit is to say, we conducted a study. As soon as those words come out of your mouth, the doctor sees them as extremely biased. That, as well as finding studies that are in credible journals. If you've been in the business long enough, you know which particular medical journals have the highest credibility. So find publications that are in very credible journals.
Okay, so the number one challenge that reps need to avoid is the tendency to say, we conducted a study. We want to replace that word we with National Institute of Health or anything credible that we can...
Drs. Johnson and Smith conducted a study.
So we're sitting there and we're presenting this study. How do we set it up?
Set it up by using the author journal date. This study was conducted by Dr. Smith. It was published in this journal, and it was published on this date.
Where do we go from there?
I recommend the SOAP method, which is the subjective, which is just simply, it looks at the chief complaint. The subjective is really the problem that this study looks at.
It's the gap in the knowledge that it's addressing? Is that the way to look at it?
Usually, most studies are created to prove a point or to solve a problem. So find the chief reason that the study was conducted. That's the subjective. The objective is just the author, the journal, the date, the outcome measures, all the information that doctor needs to see that study as credible. These were the outcome measures. This is the journal that it was published in. These are the authors of the study. And the assessment is just simply a quick summary of the findings. If it's about outcome measures, this study found this drug was 98% effective. plan, and that's just simply the author's comments based on the study. We recommend using drug X over drug Y because there's less side effects. You pull that right out of the article. So I recommend the subjective, objective assessment and plan because that's how all healthcare professionals are trained to present literature. That's how every single study is set up.
SOAP method, I like that because it starts off with almost, the subjective is almost like a question. So we're proposing a question and we're telling a story to solve the mystery of the question.
Right, and SOAP is not sales. SOAP is science.
Jim, if people want to get a hold of you, if they want to learn more about you, if they want to learn more about your programs and what you do, what's the best way to do it?
They can go to on my website. It's www.tapconsultingcompany.com, or they can call 770-596-1498.
Hello and welcome. This is Scott Moldenhauer from HowToConvinceDocs.com. Go to HowToConvinceDocs.com for more fresh ideas and strategies. HowToConvinceDocs.com.